Welcome back to the CompTIA Security Plus series. This is episode 3, Malicious Code and Malware Types. We cover all 9 malware types tested on the SY0-701 exam: ransomware, Trojans, worms, viruses, spyware, keyloggers, rootkits, logic bombs, and bloatware. Let's get into it. Malware is any software intentionally designed to cause harm, encrypting your files, stealing your data, giving attackers remote access, or simply consuming your resources. The Security Plus exam tests 9 specific malware types. You need to know what each one does, how to identify it, and how to stop it. The most important skill is being able to tell them apart from each other. The exam will put them in scenarios and ask you to identify which one fits. Ransomware takes over a system and demands payment, usually in cryptocurrency, in exchange for restoring access. Crypto malware is the most common type. It encrypts your files and holds them hostage. It is most often delivered through phishing emails or by exploiting exposed services like remote desktop protocol. Indicators of compromise include communication to command and control servers, lateral movement across the network, mass file encryption, ransom demand pop-ups, and large outbound data transfers. The best defense is tested. Offline backups. If your backup is on the same network as the infected system, ransomware will encrypt that too. Test your backups regularly. These two are often confused on the exam, so know the difference cold. A Trojan disguises itself as legitimate software. A user downloads and runs it willingly, thinking it is a game, a tool, or an update. Once active, it opens a backdoor, installs more malware, or steals data. The key clue on the exam: the user ran it voluntarily. A worm self-replicates with no user action at all. It spreads automatically across networks by exploiting vulnerabilities in services or file shares. One infected system can compromise hundreds more within minutes. The key exam clue: no user action required. That distinction, user action versus no user action, is what the exam will test every time. A virus attaches itself to a legitimate file or program. When that infected file is opened or run, the virus activates and can copy itself to other files on the same system. The critical difference from a worm: a virus requires user action to spread, specifically, running an infected file. A worm does not need anything from the user. Virus types include file infectors, boot sector viruses, macroviruses that hide in Office documents, and polymorphic viruses that change their signature to avoid detection. Antivirus tools and keeping software patched are the primary defenses. Spyware silently gathers information about a user's activity, browsing habits, and system details, then sends it to a remote server controlled by the attacker. It is often bundled with free software. Indicators include unexpected outbound traffic and unknown background processes. A keylogger is a specialized type of spyware that captures every keystroke: passwords, credit card numbers, private messages, everything you type. Both software and hardware keyloggers exist, but the Security Plus exam focuses on software keyloggers as a malware type. Multi-factor authentication reduces the damage of stolen passwords even when a keylogger is present. A rootkit embeds itself deep into the operating system, sometimes in the master boot record itself. It is specifically designed to hide. It hooks into the file system so infected files do not appear, and can hide processes and network connections from the operating system. Standard antivirus often cannot detect rootkits because the rootkit controls the OS it is trying to scan. The best detection method is to boot the suspected system from a trusted external device and scan the drive from outside the infected OS. For removal, the safest option is always to wipe the system and restore from a known good backup. Trying to clean a rootkit in place is unreliable. A logic bomb is code hidden inside another program that executes when a specific condition is met. A classic example is a terminated employee who leaves code that deletes all database records if their account is ever disabled. Logic bombs are not standalone programs. They hide inside other software. They cannot be found by antivirus. They are found through manual code review. Bloatware is pre-installed software that comes bundled with new hardware or other applications. It is not truly malicious, but it consumes resources and is often unpatched, creating an attack surface that real malware can exploit. The fix is simply to uninstall it. Use this slide as your exam cheat sheet. Ransomware encrypts files and demands payment. Trojans disguise as legitimate software and require user action. Worms self-replicate, with no user action needed. Viruses attach to files and need a host file to spread. Spyware sends your data to an attacker. Keyloggers record all keyboard input. Rootkits hide deep in the OS and are hard to detect or remove. Logic bombs trigger on a condition and are found through code review. When you suspect malware, start with VirusTotal. It checks a file against over 70 antivirus engines at once. Different vendors may name the same malware differently, which is normal. Sandbox analysis lets you run suspected malware in an isolated virtual environment to observe what it does without risking real systems. Endpoint detection and response tools use behavioral analysis to catch threats that signature-based antivirus misses. Common indicators across malware types include C2 traffic, lateral movement, mass file changes, data exfiltration, and unknown processes running in the background. Know these 6 indicator types for the exam. C2 traffic is communication to known malicious IPs or domains, the malware checking in with its controller. Lateral movement is unexpected logins across multiple internal systems after initial compromise. Mass file encryption means files suddenly become unreadable, a ransomware signature. Data exfiltration is unusually large outbound transfers. Unknown processes are unexpected services or scheduled tasks created by Trojans or Rootkits. File hashes are fingerprints of known malicious files. Tools like VirusTotal match them against a database. Quick recap. Ransomware encrypts files. Best defense is offline backups. Trojans need user action. Worms do not. Viruses need a host file. Spyware steals info. Keyloggers capture keystrokes. Rootkits hide in the OS scan from outside. Logic bombs hide in code and trigger on a condition, found via code review. Bloatware wastes resources and creates attack surface. Practice question. A recently fired developer warns that code they wrote will delete all database records if they are not rehired within 30 days. What type of malware is this? The answer is C. Logic bomb. It is code hidden inside a program that triggers on a specific condition. It is not ransomware because no payment is demanded, and it is not a worm because it does not self-replicate. Next episode, Social Engineering and Password Attacks. See you there. Welcome back to the CompTIA Security Plus series. Episode 4 covers social engineering and password attacks, 2 of the most heavily tested topics on the SY0-701 exam. We go through every phishing variant, every social engineering technique, and the 2 password attack types you must know cold: brute force and password spraying. Let's go. Social engineering is the practice of manipulating people into taking actions they otherwise would not take. It exploits human psychology, not technology. We are most vulnerable when we are reacting to pressure instead of thinking clearly. 6 key principles power almost every social engineering attack. Authority. People obey those who appear to be in charge. Urgency. Pressure to act immediately without thinking. Scarcity. Something becomes more desirable when it seems limited. Consensus. People follow what others are doing. Intimidation. Threats of consequences scare people into compliance. Trust and familiarity. We help people we like or feel connected to. Real attacks almost always combine multiple principles to increase success. Phishing is the fraudulent acquisition of credentials or sensitive data, most commonly via email with fake login pages or malicious links. Spear phishing targets specific individuals using personal details to appear convincing. The success rate is much higher than generic phishing. Whaling is spear phishing aimed specifically at executives, CEOs, and CFOs. High-value targets for wire fraud. Smishing uses SMS text messages, fake delivery notices, bank alerts, or verification codes that contain malicious links. Vishing uses voice calls or voicemail. Attackers impersonate banks, IT support, or government agencies. Urgency and authority are the main psychological levers. Impersonation means pretending to be someone else. Attackers claim to be IT support, a manager, a vendor, or a government official to gain access or extract information. Business email compromise, called BEC, is a specific form where attackers impersonate an executive via email to authorize fraudulent payments. It is one of the most financially damaging attacks in the world. Pretexting means creating a fabricated scenario to make a request seem legitimate. It is almost always used alongside impersonation to complete the story. Example: calling an employee and saying, "I'm from IT, we detected a breach on your account, I need your password now to stop it." The defense is always to verify the identity through a separate, trusted channel before acting. A watering hole attack identifies websites that target employees visit regularly, then infects those sites with malware. When the target visits their normal site, malware downloads automatically. No phishing email needed. The user goes to a trusted site they use every day. Typo squatting registers domain names that look like popular sites but contain a typo: amaze0n.com, smazon.com, googie.com. When a user mistypes a URL, they land on a malicious site that captures credentials or delivers malware. Organizations defend against this by purchasing common typo variations of their own domain name. Misinformation is false information spread without knowing it is false, often shared by people who genuinely believe it. Disinformation is deliberately false content created and spread to deceive. Nation-state actors use disinformation campaigns on social media to influence elections and shift public opinion. Brand impersonation involves creating fake social media accounts, websites, or emails that mimic a legitimate company to trick customers into sharing credentials or payment information. Business email compromise uses a spoofed or compromised email account to impersonate a company executive and request wire transfers or sensitive data from employees. The FBI consistently ranks BEC as one of the most costly cybercrimes each year. This slide is your complete reference for Exam Objective 2.2. Know all 12 techniques by name. Phishing, email. Vishing, voice, smishing, SMS. Impersonation, pretending to be someone else. Pretexting, fabricated scenario. Business email compromise, executive impersonation for fraud. Watering hole, infecting visited websites. Typo squatting, fake typo domains. Misinformation, false info spread unintentionally. Disinformation, false info spread deliberately. Brand impersonation, fake accounts mimicking a brand. Spear phishing, targeted phishing using personal details. 5 password attack types to know. Brute force systematically tries every possible character combination until it finds the right one. Very slow against complex passwords. Dictionary attacks use lists of common words and known passwords, much faster than pure brute force. Password spraying tries one common password against many accounts to avoid lockout. Credential stuffing uses stolen username and password pairs from data breaches, relying on password reuse. Password cracking cracks hashed passwords captured from a breach. Rainbow tables pre-compute hashes, and salting passwords defeats them. This is the most tested distinction in this chapter. Brute force tries many passwords against one account. Fast detection triggers lockout quickly. Password spraying tries one password against many accounts. Slow per account, stays under lockout threshold, harder to detect. The log signature tells you everything. Brute force shows many failed logins for the same username. Spraying shows one failed login spread across many different usernames. When you see a scenario where an attacker is careful not to lock anyone out, that is spraying. Technology alone cannot stop social engineering. The human is both the target and the defense. Security awareness training is the most important control. Teach staff to recognize phishing, pretexting, and impersonation, and run regular simulated phishing exercises to measure effectiveness. Always verify unusual requests through a separate trusted channel. Never trust caller ID or email headers alone. Implement MFA. Even if a password is stolen through social engineering, MFA blocks the attacker from using it. Email and web filtering block known malicious content before it reaches users. Clear policies tell staff what is normal, so they can recognize what is not. 6-layer defenses. MFA is the single most effective control. A stolen password alone is not enough. Account lockout stops brute force but not spraying, which is designed to stay below the threshold. Password length matters far more than complexity. A 16-character passphrase is exponentially harder to crack than an 8-character complex password. Salting passwords before hashing defeats rainbow table attacks by making pre-computed hashes useless. Password managers eliminate reuse, which defeats credential stuffing. Login monitoring detects spraying by alerting on one failed password across many accounts, or logins from impossible locations. Quick recap. Phishing is email. Vishing is voice. Smishing is SMS. Spear phishing is targeted. Whaling targets executives. Pretexting creates a fake scenario. Impersonation creates a fake identity. BEC is executive email fraud. Watering hole infects sites targets visit. Typo squatting uses fake typo domains. Brute force is many passwords against one account. Spraying is one password against many accounts. MFA is the best defense against both social engineering and password attacks. Practice question. An attacker tries the password summer 2024 against 500 different user accounts across a company. What type of attack is this? The answer is B. Password spraying. One password, many accounts, designed to stay below the lockout threshold. Brute force would be many passwords against one account. Next episode. Security assessment and testing. Vulnerability scanning and penetration testing. See you there.